At some point in your life, your self-development on your business stops moving forward. You've done everything right, putting in that work, but it just feels like things are taking their sweet time. It feels like you've hit this plateau, but what if you haven't? What if there's a deeper source code that's been shaping your timing, your challenges, the old patterns that still show up? A blueprint that was always there beneath the surface. In this video, which comes from one of our live Q&A events, an audience member asked why even after doing all the inner work and all the right things as a practitioner, things in her life and business were still not flowing easily. That question opened up a deeper conversation around how the soul blueprint keeps us feeling like we've hit this plateau from our next level of impact. Enjoy. This is just a term that I use to describe this thing that I started to understand. Chances are we Google it and maybe other people might see it or even talk about this in a totally different way. But when I talk about soul blueprint, what I'm talking about is the soul's decision to fragment itself and have a specific code / blueprint for the life that you're living. So we're not talking about the soul source itself. We're just talking about the blueprint of this life. And so a lot of people do talk about contracts and blueprints and stuff like that. And really, it's not this written piece of paper, of course. It is this coding that you carry. So the coding itself is what attracts the people into your life. It's not so much the agreement that you have on paper. It is actually the coding that attracts it into your life. Not just the people, but even certain situations. So there's also this question that arises when we start to have this discussion, and that is, okay, well, what's free will versus like the plan that we come in with? And so that's also a natural area of exploration. But just to quickly hone in on the rest of the blueprint, factor, what I came to understand being, let's say, the blueprint was that it's this coding that we come in with to unravel, to understand. It attracts these situations, these things in our life so that we can explore it, that we can understand it, we can expand from it, because our soul source, let's say, goal, our soul mission is essentially expansion. That is the mission of the universe. So there was some transcripts that came from some channelings that I did a while back. And in fact, Larry here, in the audience here, he's co-authoring that with me. But essentially, the point of the matter is, back to the origins of the universe, there was this idea of, okay, well, what am I? Okay, I am. What can I become? And this idea, it's a very simple way of explaining it and saying it, but this idea is what set forth in motion this wanting to explore everything that it can become. And in other words, the source self, this universal self, this united self, is expressing itself in so many different ways, trying to understand and learn more about itself. And as it does, it expands more and more. The reason we have these physical experiences is because it provides a very unique opportunity to experience with non-remembrance of your past, with non-remembrance of what you are, an experience where there is such distortion, such focus, that you can have a specific mission and specific challenges that you can explore. This is happening on so many alternate fronts in lifetimes past and present and future, all at the same time. It is simply a thought that is thunk by the soul self, and boom, a life is essentially born, a perspective is born, and in other words, your life that you're living right now. And because you are a part of this system, because you have come in with that coding that you set for yourself, there are going to be aspects there for you to explore, to grow. And as you grow, as you transmute more of those aspects within you, that blueprint, so to speak, as it unravels and aligns, it starts to vibrate more and more with that source self. and it starts to bring in more of that light. And as it does that, it gets rid of, or at least dissolves, more of the fragmentation it came in with, and it brings back learnings, it brings back light that is reflected back to the source self, and the source self grows. It expands. It understands more. If you were to play a video game that you've already played hundreds of times, you wouldn't learn anything new. But if you're playing for the first time and anything can happen with no memory or no knowledge of any of it, then what you're going to do, let's say you've got 50 people playing the same video game, and this is probably a video game that doesn't exist, but let's say it's incredibly expansive, thousands and thousands of possibilities and situations and scenarios and levels and conversations that could occur. Not a single one of them would look exactly the same. And because of that, each one is unique in and of itself. Each one carries specific lessons, carries specific situations. And this is also why you might even look at past life regression, at a past life, and be like, hold on, looks like I was even exploring almost the same theme. What gives? And it's because you're now able to do it from a completely new way. And so with each experience, there's more haha moments, more new perspectives. And so there's more resolution, more, let's say, mastery in that specific thing that you felt as a higher self you were called to explore right now. And so you bring back those lessons, you bring back those understandings, and the source self expands. And this is happening not just on the soul level, not just on an oversoul level, but on a universal consciousness level.
Okay. So then you're saying, so if we understand what our blueprint is and what's been holding us back, then we make adjustments to overcome it? Or is there like another spiritual like process to sort of remove it?
Hey, real quick, it's my mission to create a butterfly effect by teaching leaders like you how to embody their greatest impact. I've already impacted over 4,000 soul-led people with my authentic business and intuition programs and coaching events. And the aim of this video is to reach even more spiritual teachers so we can start to make an even greater difference. So if that's you, click on the subscribe button. And if you know someone who would actually benefit from these insights, go ahead and share this video with them. Thank you for helping me with my mission and for helping them with theirs. Yeah, when we at least have clarity on what it is, it can give us a lot of perspective in our life of, okay, this makes sense why I would have come in, why I would have had these specific parents, why these situations happened. It gives us a lot of clarity. And with awareness, it is a power because it can help us see clearer and it can help us see more effectively. Now, that is obviously just one step of the process because awareness is cool. I'm aware of it. But then now what then? Well, awareness helps you navigate it more, right? So it is beautiful. But there does come a time where, okay, now we do need to transmute that more. We need to actually, how do we resolve it? Well, what do we do? And this really is talking about some of the method, well, at least the methodologies that I channeled to bring in to help me do that, and that I also help other people do that same work using those 3 steps. Then you go about actually working through that in an energetic way. So it's not so much a conceptual way where you're trying to grapple the conditioning of specific things, but rather you're actually working on the energetic level of moving through those things, moving through those themes. So it's a slightly different approach. It's one based more on energetics, quite frankly, but it is the only methodology that to this day created the amount of, let's say, shifts and transformations that I've seen within myself and others. That was the easiest, let's say, system that could actually help us move through that could accelerate that process. If this has sparked your curiosity, or this is resonating with you so far, and you're a coach, facilitator, or a soul-led leader, you know you're ready for your next level of impact, but you're still being held back by old patterns or blocks, then I have an invitation for you, because the most expansive work you can do demands the most expansive version of you, and the tools that got you here won't get you to your next level. I'm hosting a live 3-day immersion where for the first time you can experience the power of trans-quantum energy work for yourself, which is the 3-step channeled modality I mentioned in this video. I will also share more channeled insights on how the soul blueprint is holding you back from your next level of impact. This is for the spiritual entrepreneur who is ready to stop wasting time figuring it out on their own. Your mission is too important to wait. The link is in the description down below for you to register, and I'll see you there. Until next time, bye.